Good morning, everybody. It is currently 6:14 a.m. I just got done cooking some eggs over there. It's a little steamy in here. It's not quite light out yet, but I figured I would have an amazing breakfast to kick it off. Nice frosty cold glass of water. Yeah. I love just toast and butter. I don't like anything else on it. Alright, well, we're getting ready to start the other half of that car now with ripping the plastic out. And we're going to go from there. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. I'm going to eat this delicious breakfast I just prepared. I'll see you guys on the flip. Well, there you go, guys. I was at it again. I had the sanding stones on there and the cutter. And just to give you an idea, I have basically ripped every bit of plastic that I could possibly get as thin as possible out of there. Carved out the whole bottom of it, carved all the way up through the top of it, emptied out each one of the corners, tried to maintain it so I could still have a brace for each wheel. But as you can see, that's there has been a ton of plastic removed from the inside of this, and it is very light now. It's surprisingly light, and it's a little off balance now that the back weighs more than the front. But it is super light. It barely weighs anything at this point, so this should be just fine for making it fly. I carved out the entire front there, a big square chunk out of there I didn't feel that I needed. I also did the same with the back, except I left the bumper intact because you're going to see that and you're going to want to see that. But I did carve all the way up to the bumper. As you can see how thin that is. I spent a good amount of time on this here today. And I think I've gotten about as much plastic as I could get out of there without doing a really fine sanding job to it. But at this point it's very flimsy, and I really don't want to go any more than I have to. I also bored out the holes for the motors so they were a little bigger, and they all matched a little better. So I took the sanding stone around each one of the tires and I tried to make them look a little better. And yeah. So now we're just waiting on the quadcopter to come in so I can put the internals in it and put the motors on the wheels and see if we can get this weight-reducted DeLorean to fly. And then it will officially be the world's smallest flying DeLorean. I'm surprised I haven't messed up the paint job or knocked the tires off or Mr. Fusion during this whole process. Very surprising to me, but this started off a completely different design, and now it's been cut back and refined even more. So let's see if we can get it to fly, man. I'm pretty excited for this. I'm hoping I can get this to fly more than 6 inches off the ground. That would be nice. So it's very light now. It doesn't weigh much, and I'm hoping that the tire braces are still in there good enough. I may put a little more glue on there again, but yeah. If not, maybe a slight bit of epoxy. We shall see. But I think that's as much plastic as I can really tear out of there at this time. And it's definitely lightened this up a lot. I've got a huge pile of plastic down there on the ground mixed with some leaves. But I would easily say I probably weight reducted it by half almost. Maybe not quite half, but I did take some pretty serious chunks out of this thing. So we'll see what that does. All right, guys. This project is on standstill until the new quad comes in and we put the inverted motors on it. I have not been able to get this camera to focus since I started this video. It's probably like a big fingerprint smudge on the front of it, so I apologize for that. Anyways, guys, drone worship, I'm out. The weight reduction is complete. We are just now waiting on the quadcopter to come in with the inverted motors, and then we're going to tear all that apart and figure out how to put all that in here, and then start crossing our fingers that this thing actually flies. I may introduce my idea to the Propel company who designs the Star Wars toys and see if I can get some manufacturing rights to it. If they like my idea, they'll start selling these small DeLoreans. Just remember, I built the original. Here she is. This is the X Series MJX X902 inverted flyer, meaning that the motors are tipped upside down and it flies upside down, which is exactly what I wanted for this. So we are going to see the motor spacing, and I think we're going to be okay here. The motors can be spread out more, and they're going to, so that works out perfect. That is going to work perfect, and then the propellers will be underneath it. The unit body itself will be mounted on the inside, and I think we've got a winner. So that's a very small body. I'm going to go ahead and tear that apart. We're going to take a look inside and go from there. So it just came in the mail. As you can see, I've been using my Dremel to take all the extra plastic out of there to make it fly, and I'm hoping it's got the ability to lift this tiny DeLorean. So, see you guys in a minute. As you guys can see, I've almost completely torn this down now. I just pulled the motor prop, or the motor holsters out of the way so I can push the motors through. Then I have to take these and clip each one of the legs off individually because the wires got inserted through and then soldered, and then I should be ready to start mounting that inside of here, and hope everything goes smoothly. So let's continue this project here. There you go, guys. The body has been completely torn apart, broken, snapped off. This is the charge cord. This is the battery. You guys can see that. And then the controller, and I haven't even tested this yet, but I have a feeling this is probably going to work. It's much lighter than my last setup, and it definitely looks a little different. So I haven't mounted these motors yet. I was making sure everything fit. Then I had to cut some grooves there under the wheels to slide the wires through on all the angles to give it some more room to press down against the bottom of the board. Then I need to make sure that this is completely level because of the gyros inside, and then I have to start balancing and leveling the motors to make sure they're all properly the same height. Then a little bit of Velcro to put the battery on with. Obviously they had their own foam stuff on here, which I may just do that myself after I mount the battery, or after I mount the flight board. And we'll go from there, but that's pretty much how it's going to look. I would flip it upside down and show it to you guys, but unfortunately I can't, so I'll let you look at it from that angle. Not all that stuff is mounted in there, so. But I have a feeling this is going to work. Let's hope, right? If not, more plastic's coming out. So there you go, man. That's how we're doing so far. It's coming together. See you guys in a bit. There you go. I'm currently got two of the motors lined up perfectly, and top and bottom. And these holes are a little larger than the other side, so I've got the hot glue gun there warming up so I can hold them in place, get them right where I want them, put a little hot glue on them, and then super glue the motors in place. And then we have to lift the flight board with some 3M tape and make sure that settles in there nice and good and level so the gyros aren't confused. So we're going to have to raise it up a little bit, and then we will move on to the battery and figuring out how we want to put that on there. I'm thinking a tiny bit of Velcro would be just fine, and it wouldn't add much weight. So these two motors are done on this side. They are drying currently, and then we're going to move on to the other side here. But because those holes are a little larger, they were the back tires, so an accident drilled them a little too large. We are going to put some hot glue to hold the motor in place long enough for me to put some super glue on there, and then remove the hot glue to take the excess weight off. But we are moving right along. So it's going to be a DeLorean that flies with inverted motors, and you shouldn't even really be able to see the props because they're black. So that's a very nice feature. I may actually still paint the motors, or yeah, I probably will. I'll still paint the motors probably black so that they're not as easy to see either. So we'll see. Time will tell. So, alright guys, toodaloo. Alrighty guys, there you go. Inverted motors. And tomorrow I'll be mounting the flight board now that the motors are all perfectly in place. As you can see, the flight board is still dangling. I have to get that completely balanced and leveled. Unfortunately, I have run out of time, but starting to look pretty darn good, I would say. I've also got super glue and on here along with hot glue. So the hot glue will be removed tomorrow after the super glue has a good chance to dry. This side is dry already. The motors are in place on this side, so I'm not too worried about this side at all. But this side had larger holes, so I had to kind of deal with that. But motors are all in alignment. Tomorrow the flight board's getting balanced, and then we attach the battery. But there you go. That is the DeLorean with inverted motors. And I would say that looks pretty darn cool. Like I said, the props are black, so you shouldn't really see them while it's traveling around. And I think I will paint the motors black as well when we're done here. And go from there. There you go, guys. Inverted motors on the micro flying DeLorean. Wish me the best of luck. It's pretty well balanced now. It just needs the flight board to be balanced at this point. And then a battery attached to it, and we should be good to go. So, inverted motors on the miniature flying DeLorean. And that's how it looked when it first came in the mail. And this is after about 3 hours of messing with it and getting the thing torn apart and then figuring out how I wanted to attach it on here. So I've got 33 hours invested in this project now, plus about 2.5 hours of removing more plastic. So I'm looking at about 35 hours invested on making this small DeLorean fly. And I probably tomorrow have another good hour and 40 minutes ahead of me. But we shall see. So there you go. Moving right along. Alright guys, toodaloo, this is Drone Worship, and I'm out.
Give yourself to the dark side.